They say love is sweet, but what they never tell us is that love can also blind you so much that you won't even recognize pain, even when it lives with you under the same roof. This is the story of Adanna, a 26-year-old beautiful, ambitious woman from Owerri, and is a calm, charismatic man who swept her off her feet with sweet words and a polished smile. They met at a youth conference in Enugu. He stood out, tall, fair-skinned, with a sharp tongue and gentle eyes. He said all the right things, and she, like many before her, fell. Before 3 months passed, Adanna moved into his house. "Why waste money on rent when you'll soon be my wife?" Is had asked. She blushed and said yes, unaware that behind every compliment was control. Behind every "I love you" was a demand. And behind every promise was a silent threat. The love was hot at first. Breakfast in bed, long night conversations, matching okra outfits, couple goals on social media. But gradually, the petals of the rose began to fall. It started with small things. Is would tell her not to wear certain dresses. "You know I love you, baby. I'm just protecting you from other men's eyes." Then came the phone checks, the accusations. "Why is your ex still liking your pictures?" Then, the isolation. "Stop going to see your friends, they don't respect me." Adanna, blinded by what she thought was passion, mistook his control for care. She believed love meant sacrifice, silence, endurance. And each time he apologized after an outburst, she forgave. Because love, as they say, is patient, right? But love never told her that patience should not be paid. One evening, after a misunderstanding over a missed call, he slapped her. It wasn't the first time, just the first time it left a bruise on her face. But when she looked in the mirror, she didn't cry. She smiled sadly, wiped her tears, and whispered to herself, "This isn't love. This is survival." But still, she stayed. Because love doesn't tell you when to leave. It doesn't scream when it's dying. It dies slowly, silently, and just when she decides to finally leave, she discovers she's pregnant. Now, the game has changed. They say children are a blessing, but what love never tells us is that not every child enters a home built on peace. Adanna sat quietly in the bathroom, the pregnancy test trembling in her hand. 2 red lines. Positive. Her heart beat like a talking drum. The child she had always dreamed of carrying was now the reason she was scared to leave. How do you walk away from a man who hurts you when you're now carrying his child? Is was excited when he heard the news. Overexcited. He lifted her in his arms, danced around the room, and shouted, "I'm going to be a father." But that joy didn't stop the insults. It didn't stop the slaps. It didn't stop the control. Instead, he now used the pregnancy as a cage. "You can't stress yourself. Stop talking too much, it's not good for the baby. Why did you go out without telling me?" And when she complained, "You should be grateful. You're carrying a king's child." Adanna's glow faded. Her smiles turned into silent tears. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends, but she rarely answered. The outside world still saw a happy couple preparing for a child. Instagram still saw matching outfits and baby bump photo shoots. But behind those filters was a woman slowly losing herself. Then came the baby shower. Everything looked perfect. Pink and white balloons, friends laughing, music playing, pictures snapping. But Adanna's eyes were empty. Even when she smiled, her eyes betrayed the storm inside. That night, after the guests left, he accused her of smiling too much with a male friend. He dragged her by the arm into the bedroom. She screamed. He shoved her. And that's when it happened. Blood. Everywhere. Her scream was heard by the neighbors. They rushed in and found her on the floor, unconscious, bleeding. She was rushed to the hospital. Hours later, she opened her eyes to the tear-filled face of her mother, Mama Chioma. Is was not there. The doctor came in and gently said the words no mother wants to hear. "I'm sorry, the baby didn't make it." Silence. The kind that breaks a person completely. For the first time in her life, Adanna felt truly alone. But in that pain, something changed. Something cracked open inside her. The illusion of love she held onto shattered completely. This wasn't love. It never was. When she was discharged, she didn't go back to Isa's house. She went home to her village in Owerri. And for 3 months, she healed, not just her body, but her soul. Then, one Sunday morning, while she was sitting under the mango tree writing in her journal, she looked up and saw him. Chuka, 30 years old, dark-skinned, tall with a calm smile. He was Mama Chioma's cousin's son, just back from abroad. He greeted her kindly, respectfully. No flirting, no pressure, just gentle conversation. At first, she was afraid to feel anything again. But Chuka didn't rush. He listened. He never asked her to forget. He simply offered her something she hadn't known in a long time. Peace. And slowly, very slowly, Adanna began to smile again. Not for social media. Not for ease. But for herself. Because what love never tells us is this: real love does not blind you, it frees you.